Well, in the previous video, we looked at the distance formula and the midpoint formula, and we have one more formula that you need to memorize. First of all, let's do a definition here. A blank is the set of all points in the plane, in the xy plane, that are equidistant, which means the same distance, from a fixed point called the center. So what is that? Well, think about it. That's the fixed point. It's called the center. If you went out a half of an inch maybe or something like that, and a half of an inch and a half of an inch, and you kept doing it, all the points that are about a half an inch away from that point, you end up getting, although this doesn't look like it, you end up getting a circle. So a circle is a set of all points in the plane that are the same distance from a fixed point called the center. Now, technically, the point is not part of the circle. I should say the center is not part of it, but the center is associated with this circle. The distance from the center to any point on the circle is what? This distance, which happens to be the same as this distance, or this distance, or that distance. It's always the same distance. So what is that distance called? The radius. So if you know the center and radius, you can draw the exact circle that I'm thinking of. If I give you the center and I give you the radius, that one is an ordered pair, the center would be an ordered pair, and the radius would just be a number, a positive number. Now, a very, very common circle that you've probably seen in trigonometry is the unit circle. The unit circle is centered at the origin. I'm going to write 0, 0, and it has a radius of 1. And if you've ever seen the equation of a circle, this is probably the equation that you've seen. The equation of the unit circle is simply x squared plus y squared is equal to 1. That's the equation of the unit circle. And by the way, this is considered the standard form for writing the equation of a circle, at least of the unit circle. Okay, let's get to the standard form for the equation of a circle. All right, remember this unit circle had center 0, 0. Suppose we want it to be centered at hk. H is a number, k is a number. They're both positive numbers, or they could be 0, one or both of them. So the standard form for the equation of a circle centered at this point with radius r is this: x minus h squared plus y minus k, in parentheses, squared equals r squared. That's it. So again, this is something you should memorize. So let's just see if we can put it into practice here. First, does this look like the equation of a circle? Notice that it's r squared, so this is never going to be a negative number because you're squaring it. So 49, that's good. We've got x plus 2, which means h is what? If I've got x plus 2, that means h is a negative 2. It would be like x minus negative 2. So h is a negative 2, y minus k, y minus 3, so k is 3. So the center is negative 2, 3. One way of thinking of it is just take this number with the opposite sign. X plus 2 means it's going to be a negative 2, y minus 3 means it's going to be a positive 3. To get the negative 2, 3 as the center. And what's the radius? Not 49. R squared is 49. So the radius r is 7. Okay, let's do it one more example here. Actually, we'll get, a couple more examples. Find the center and radius. So the center is an ordered pair, remember that, and radius of the circle with this equation. So what's the center? I'll make the parentheses, I'll draw the comma. Well, this just says x squared. Well, it's kind of like up here. Remember, this one was centered at 0, 0? Because x, you could write like x minus 0 in parentheses squared. X squared is this. So 0, and then remember you take the opposite of this, so it'd be minus 11. So the center is 0, comma, negative 11. And the radius, I'm just going to call it r, is radical 12. The square root of this guy, because this is r squared is 12. So take the square root of both sides, and the radius is always positive, so you don't take the plus or minus. And then we're going to need to simplify this. So that's equal to radical 4, radical 3. So r simplified is going to be 2 radical 3. That's the radius, and here's the center. H comma k, and the radius r is 2 radical 3. Okay, so I didn't give myself too much room here. I'm giving you the radius and the center, and we want to come up with the equation of the circle. So r radius is radical 3, and this is hk. So h is 0, k is negative 6. So I'm going to do x minus 0 squared. So it looks like I'm going to do the similar to what we had up here. X minus 0 squared is just x squared, plus y plus 6, because it's y minus negative 6. Just take the opposite of this, negative 6. Y plus 6 squared equals, and what do I put after the equal sign? What's the radius? The radius is radical 3. So what am I going to put here? I put r squared here. R squared is 3. I'll make a note here. R squared equals 3. Okay? All right, well, that's about all there is to know about the equation of a circle, this at least in standard form. That's the form we like to have it in. Because if we have this, we know what the center is, it's hk, and then we know what the radius is, it's the square root of this. So we could draw the circle every time. What happens if you're not given it in this form? Suppose you're given it in this uglier form. Okay, so we have d times x. D is just a real number, plus e times y, which is a real number, plus f, which is a real number. What are the radius and what are the center and radius of such a circle? Well, here's my point. You know what that stands for? I don't know. I can't look at it. Even if D, E, and F were written out as numbers, I can't just look at this and tell you what the center and radius are. So we're going to have to take anything in this form and convert it into this form. And then it'll be just as easy as we did up here. So how in the world can we do that? Well, to graph this circle, we first convert from this form to the standard form by, you may not like this, I don't know if you've seen this before or not, completing the square on the left. And not only do we have to complete the square, we're going to have to do it twice. We're going to have to do it in x, and we're going to have to do it in y as well. Okay, so let's review. You've probably seen this before. If not, you're going to have to memorize how we do this to complete the square. Well, the first thing I'm going to do, and notice this is in the standard, this is not in the standard form, it's in this general form up here, x squared, y squared. The d, capital D, would be a 4, capital E would be negative 4, and f would be a negative 1. Here's how I want it to be written. I want to get the x terms together, I want to get the y terms together, and I want to get the number on the other side of the equal sign. So, just reordering, I get x squared plus 4x. So I've used that, and I've used that. Leave some space there. Plus y squared minus 4y. Leave some space. Equals, and what goes on the right-hand side? We're adding 1, so it'll be a positive 1. So all we did is just some arithmetic, really. Some algebra. We added something to the other side, and we regrouped. That was it. So let me grab a different color. In. Okay, now we're going to complete the square. How do you complete the square? Well, you take the number in front of the x and the number in front of the y, the coefficient of the x and the y, you take half of it and square it. So this is kind of like what I call a magic number. So 1/2 times 4 squared. That's 2 squared, which gives us a 4. So I'm going to add a 4 there. And by doing that, I just completed the square. This is now a perfect square. But if I add 4 there, I have to go to the other side and tack on a plus 4 there as well. So what's going to happen here? Well, the same thing. It doesn't matter that's a negative 4 here because we're squaring it. It's going to be 1/2 times negative 4, negative 2. Negative 2 squared still gives us a 4. So I'm going to put a plus 4 right there, which means another plus 4 there. And now this is a perfect square. So let's write them as perfect squares and add up these numbers on the right, and we're done. So how do I factor this? I'm telling you it's a perfect square. Well, it's always going to be x. Well, this will be x plus 2 quantity squared. I just factored that. And now you could FOIL this out if you wanted to and verify that you get that. Now what's going to be the difference with the y's? It's going to be a little bit different because we have a negative sign there. It's y minus 2. Y minus 2 in parentheses squared equals 9. So now it's quite simple. This is the standard form. Now that it's written in this form, I know exactly what the center and radius are. So what is the center? The center of this circle is going to be negative 2, 2. Right? You can just take the opposite of positive 2 to get negative 2, take the opposite of negative 2 to get positive 2. And what's the radius, r? Well, 9 is r squared. So r is 3. That's all we need. This is really great about circles. All you need is the one single point where the center is and the radius, and you can draw the circle. You can graph it. So the center is negative 2, 2. So it looks like it'd be about there. And the way I draw, I just usually draw about 4 points. The radius is 3, so I usually go down 3, to the right 3, up 3, and to the left 3. And then you got to make sure you don't draw a square. We need a circle here. All right, not too bad. But once again, when you're given the general form for the equation of a circle, in this form, like this example, you need to complete the square to get it into the the normal form, the standard form. So you group the x's together, the x squared plus 4x, and the y squared minus 4y, and you added 1 to both sides. And then we complete the square twice. And all you do is take half of the number in front of the x, the coefficient, and square it. Half of 4 is 2, square it, gives you a 4. Half of negative 4 is negative 2, square it, and you get plus 4. And then factor these two. They're perfect squares. And we got this.